Welcome to our very first episode. I'm Kara, and today we're going to be doing something special. We're kicking off things with what we call the You interview. If you've ever been in an accident in California and found yourself searching for the right attorney to represent you, you know how overwhelming that process can be. There are dozens of personal injury firms out there, and from the outside, it can look all pretty similar. Billboards, ads, and websites promising results. But who are the people behind those promises? That's exactly what we're here to explore today. Joining me is Brett Sachs, the founder of MVP Accident Attorneys, a personal injury law firm right here in California that represents accident victims who've been injured due to someone else's negligence. Whether it's a car accident, a slip and fall, or a wrongful death case, Brett and his team fight to help people get compensation for medical costs, lost incomes, and emotional distress. Before we dive into the legal stuff, I want to talk about Brett, the person, how he got here, what drives him, and what makes his approach to personal injury law different. Brett, thanks for being here today and for letting us kick this off with your story. Before we jump into your background, I'm curious, why personal injury law? And what is it about representing accident victims?
Well, first of all, thank you, Kara, for having me on the podcast today. I really appreciate it. And I love sharing our story and what sets us apart in the personal injury space from all of our competitors and colleagues. And this first question is probably one of the most important questions, and it goes directly into who we are and what we do. Why personal injury? And that's very simple for me. As soon as I became a lawyer, I knew that I did so to help people, to truly make a difference in people's lives, fell into the personal injury realm and found out that I can make a significant impact on a lot of people's lives in a very short period of time. And that is what drives us every single day to make sure that our clients are getting what they deserve.
Let's start at the beginning. A lot of
Sure.
people don't just wake up one day and decide they're going to become a lawyer, right? There's usually a story behind there. So walk me through your journey and what led you to law school in the first place.
Again, the journey to become a lawyer just stems from my intent to want to help people. I've always wanted and been interested in the area of law, whether that was to become, law enforcement, work for the government, or being a lawyer. And after speaking to my father, who happens to be a very huge impact on who I am today and where I have come from, it was pretty clear that with my goals of wanting to help people and then wanting to have the resources to do so, law became the only option for us because we want to help people, but we want to have the resources and energy to do it on a larger scale. And of all the areas that I felt like we could make an impact on people's lives, the area of law is what came to mind.
That's great. And then once you made that decision to pursue law, where did you go to school? Kind of walk me through your educational background and any key credentials or certificates that are important for people to know about.
So grew up in the Midwest, went to Indiana University for undergrad, ended up choosing Michigan State for law school because it remained in the Big Ten. It was still in the Midwest. It was easy to transfer into. And it had a big enough name that if I wanted to move across the country, that school alone would be able to help me, obtain jobs. And, while attending Michigan State University College of Law, I was very blessed to work in a civil rights clinic that allowed me to represent prisoners in the Michigan Department of Corrections as a law student. So I actually got to work on real cases, represent real people in court before even graduating law school, which gave me a head start on all of my colleagues graduating from law school. And it really helped me learn how to speak with individuals in need, communicate with them, empathize with them, and understand their needs and how to apply that in the area of law. So graduating cum laude with honors from Michigan State University College of Law and having this real life application in the Michigan Department of Corrections clinic through the school really helped me jumpstart my career and set me apart from so many other people in this space.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then I'm curious, what brought you to California from there? And how does your background kind of influence the way you approach your work in California specifically?
Interesting. It's the tale story of following a girl. I met my wife in undergrad. Then we went to Michigan State Law School for together. Then we moved out here because she's from Southern California, the Encinitas, San Diego area, and then her grandparents were in Orange County, and that's where we landed. And growing up in the Midwest, a much slower atmosphere allows me to take time and really concentrate on helping each individual client. Even though my firm handles a significant amount of clients a year, having that background in a much calmer environment in the Midwest is can apply very well here in a large law firm, because it gives me the ability to take a step back and not get lost in the chaos of everyday life, and really concentrate on our individual clients, and treat each individual client like family instead of like a number on a spreadsheet.
Absolutely, 100%. I know the Midwest, yeah, they move a lot slower over here.
They do.
Definitely. And then California, like you said, is a more fast paced, go, go, go kind of community. So, and a true love story to have found
Yeah,
your
it
wife
is.
and move over there. Awesome. So, personal injury is a pretty broad category. And I know MVP handles motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls, and wrongful death cases.
Mhm.
But within personal injury law, are there specific types of cases that you and your team focus on most? And what kind of drew you to those particular areas?
Good question. I'm a firm believer in specializing in niches within a profession and really staying in your lane and being really, really good at one area of the law. And then basically working with other lawyers in the community to obtain the best results for clients that kind of fall without outside of that area. And the kind of cases that we specialize here really deals with first or single event cases. So car accidents, slip and falls, any type of injury case that is as a result of another party. So it wasn't the result of either your employer or yourself, that you got injured because somebody else did not pay attention or created a dangerous condition. And those are the kind of cases that we specialize in. Car accidents take up the majority of our cases in our firm. But we take slip and falls, product liability cases, wrongful death cases, catastrophic cases. We have unfortunately or fortunately been able to kind of specialize in death cases surrounding pools, which is very sad, but it's a very important work, and it takes a very specific type of nuance because you're dealing with HOAs, you're dealing with city ordinances, you're dealing with compliance and making sure that pools are safe. What people don't realize is having a pool in your backyard is an attractive nuisance to children. Children are drawn to water. So you have to really make sure that you have the right protections surrounding a pool to foresee a child getting out of the sight of a parent and wandering into a pool. So those are the type of cases that we specialize in, and we do very, very well. Now, any other type of injury case or any other case that you have in California, we can find a lawyer to help you out with. What I love about California, Kara, is that it really, really focuses heavily on making sure that lawyers can refer cases out to other lawyers to make it so that you're not taking cases that you don't specialize in, because what ends up being very important is that the client gets the best representation for their specific needs, and you don't want your ego getting in the way of that.
Absolutely. That's very important. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about personal injury
Yep.
attorneys. So before we dive deeper into your practice, what's one thing you wish more people understood about you or any other personal injury lawyers and what they actually do for accident victims?
I think what's really important for consumers to know when searching for a personal injury lawyer and what what we really do in personal injury law isn't just getting clients money. At the end of the day, what's very important is that our clients get the best medical attention that they can. They get back to pre-accident condition, if at all possible, based on the circumstances of their individual case. But also, more importantly, get the full, maximum compensation. So what lawyers in the personal injury space do really is all encompassing. So we're legal advocates, we're legal counselors. Sometimes we're babysitters, sometimes we're a shoulder to cry on. What sets us apart from a corporate lawyer or a family law lawyer is that we're kind of on call 24/7. When our clients need us, we have avenues of letting them reach us, whether it's through our intake lines, through our AI that we have incorporated to allow them to communicate with us after hours, or emails. We really make sure that here at MVP we give our clients that individual attention, and it gives our clients a lot of comfort that they can contact us at any hour of the day and hopefully get a hold of somebody. But really, what our job is to do is to walk a client through a very contentious environment and red tape. What they don't realize is that when they're involved in an accident, we're not dealing with human beings. We're dealing with multi-billion-dollar corporations that spend countless amount of money yearly to devalue and deny our clients' claims. I always tell all of our clients the reason why we have jobs, the reason why I'm in business is because you aren't treated fairly in this industry. And when we're dealing with conglomerates like insurance carriers who have tens of billions of dollars a year to allocate to resources and investing into technology that will train somebody how to devalue a case, it's our job to fight fairly. Where it's David versus Goliath in our industry, and these clients need to understand that they're going up against the most high paid lawyers out there, and they need somebody to fight the fight for them, and to really humanize their story and allow them to get what they deserve. But a personal injury lawyer gets a lot of bad rap, unfortunately, Kara, in our industry. And what they don't realize is that we essentially work for free until our clients get paid. And that takes a very unique skill set. Because what's important to us is getting our clients what they deserve. And that's the only way that we're able to get the resources we need to help the next client.
It's a great answer. Yeah, a lot of these clients, potential clients, are in a very, very vulnerable spot, I feel like,
Yep.
when they come to you. So yeah, just kind of being a human to them
Yeah,
and
really.
caring really goes a long way, especially
Yep.
in today's world.
Yes.
Let's talk about your approach here, Brett. When someone comes to you after an accident, maybe they're injured, overwhelmed, dealing with insurance companies, how do you approach their case? And what is your philosophy on client representation?
Thank you, Kara. That's a great question. Honestly, it's going to be a theme of today, and that's client-centric approach. And really, we have set this firm up since the day I started in trying to be the most technologically advanced law firm in California and hopefully across the country one day, to allow us to make sure that we maximize our clients' interest. And sometimes that's medical care, sometimes that's compensation. But if everything that we do on every single case is designed to represent and advocate for our client's best interest, we know that we'll get a good outcome. So what we've done at our firm is we've incorporated a data approach by utilizing data both statewide, firm-wide, and nationwide, and incorporating AI tools and technology and able to collect data and to maximize that information to give us the best approach on each individual client. I'd like to tell you that we have a standard approach for every single client, but that's just not the case. We're dealing with human beings, and every person's different. You could have two cases that look almost identical, but two different humans involved, and they could have completely two different outcomes for a multitude of reasons. So our job is to give our clients the resources that they need to get us the information that we need to maximize their results. What sets us apart, Kara, is that I believe that every client should have the ability to understand what is going on in their case, speak to somebody at the firm, and have enough people working on each individual case because there's so many different components in a personal injury case, and I want to maximize the resources available to each client. And what is unique about our firm is that every single client, depending on the type of case, is going to get at minimum of 3 people consistently working on their case, all the way up to potentially 5 to 7 people, depending on the complexity and the type of case that we're dealing with. Most of our clients will have 2 different attorneys, a case manager assistant. We're going to have VAs working on, paperwork, and on the background. And then we have like lien negotiators, intake specialists as well. So essentially, we do not want, people with different skill sets at the firm wasting that skill set doing other tasks. We basically want to maximize our resources here at the firm to get our client interest represented at the best of our ability. So how do we strategize on every case? It's case by case, and it's client focused. And it starts with understanding who our clients are. So having that case manager on every case with the 2 attorneys allows us the time and energy to communicate, meet, and understand who our clients are as humans versus a case in a file.
Absolutely. And then one of the big decisions I know in personal injury cases is whether to settle with the insurance company or take the case to court,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So what's your philosophy there, and how do you approach that decision with your clients?
And that's a good question too, Kara. And I think this is important for our clients to understand, especially when choosing a personal injury law firm. Number one, you want a law firm that can do both. You want a law firm that can to specialize and understand how to maximize a client's case in a pre-litigation setting. That's negotiation and settlement. And then one that can understand and visualize what cases need to be filed on and go to litigation and go beyond that pre-litigation settlement and to go into a court setting and file a real lawsuit. But the decision in what type of cases make it to those stages, again, is going to revolve 100% around our clients and what is in the best interest of my client. I would love to pound my chest, Kara, and go up against every insurance company and prove that we're willing to fight for every single case for every single time. But at the end, unfortunately, that doesn't always maximize my client's recovery. What a client needs to understand is there's a difference between a gross settlement and their net recovery. What ends up going in their pocket, because our clients don't pay us directly, our fees come out of the gross settlement or verdict. Medical bills, everything is paid up front or on liens, and that all needs to be paid back at the end of the case. It allows the majority of our clients who don't potentially have the means to hire lawyers to have access to very, very well-respected, skillful, award-winning, attorneys such as ourselves, without having to pay a penny. But what we care most about at the end of the day is, how do I maximize my client's net recovery? Sometimes going to court can hurt my client's recovery, even if that gross number at the end is bigger. If my client is going to get a $100,000 settlement today, or a $300,000 verdict or settlement in litigation 2 or 3 years from now, but it costs me $100,000 or $200,000 to get there, my clients get to end up with less money in their pocket, and we have to help them understand what's in their best interest. And what every decision comes down to is, how do I maximize our clients' net recovery, and what goes into potentially getting them more at the end versus what they can walk away with today. So it comes down to what the clients want and what the clients need, and what I feel is going to be in the best interest of them at the end of the day, and how to maximize that for them is what goes into making the decisions whether to settle or go to trial or go to court.
Yeah, absolutely. Always in the client's best interest. And I guess from there, a bigger question, how do you define success then for you and for MVP? What does a successful case look like? And is it purely about the settlement amount or the verdict, or are there other factors that kind of play a role in that?
Great question. Honestly, it's not always the number involved. It's not the settlement amount that's involved. For us, success we look at a couple different things. Number one, by far, is clients, at the end of the day, whether or not they're happy with the outcome. Some clients might be, ecstatic for a number that doesn't necessarily make sense for us, but they're happy. And so therefore we feel like we were a success for them. Sometimes it's the small victories that we fought very hard to overturn liability when it looked very bad against our clients, or taking a case and potentially having different components, keeping them out of prison sometimes, for accidents that have happened. Sometimes when people are involved in accidents and people die, people want to blame people. And even though, they're maybe not at fault for the case, that, they could be charged, or that, there are different things that we want to look into to make sure that we're helping our clients out. So when we look at the case result, we look at, did we do our very best? Did we maximize our clients' interest? Are our clients happy? And did we fight for our client when somebody else wouldn't? So another interesting aspect of our firm is that, yes, we take catastrophic cases. We take cases that are worth, millions, tens of millions, you potentially even more. But we also help the average day accident victims, people that are involved in what the world considers minor fender benders. You never know how a person's body can be affected in a car accident, even with very little property damage or minimal speed involved. Everyone's body mechanics are very different. They can get, catastrophically injured in a very small car accident. A lot of lawyers will turn those cases down. We take those cases on because my firm's not here just to help out the most profitable case. I'm also here to help out individuals that have zero access to representation across the state because their case might be considered too small for other lawyers.
And then before we move on, is there anything about how you practice, Brett, or how MVP operates that might surprise people and something that's not typically in personal injury law?
Yeah, good question, Kara. We do use a very unique strategy in our personal injury cases that derive from a different type of area of law called bad faith, and utilizing the understanding of what bad faith means, who can or how it can apply to a personal injury case, and utilizing an insurance company's duty to the defendant in a case is really what goes into helping maximize our clients' recovery. So we apply the idea of bad faith and insurance duties to defendants to really make sure that we're representing our clients to the best of our ability.
Okay. We're going to go into experience and achievements now. So we'll start with career path. Okay. So let's talk about your career path. You didn't just graduate from law school and immediately start your own firm, right? So kind of walk me through your journey from graduation to founding MVP Accident Attorneys, and what were kind of the key stops along the way?
That's a great question, Kara. I mean, coming out of law school, moving across the country, your first focus is just finding a job, which I did. I found the first job that was offered to me, and it happened to deal with personal injury and family law. And so I worked on the personal injury side of the law firm, and very quickly realized how the lack of either education, resources, or just pure empathy for clients can really derail and affect consumers that are involved in car accident cases very negatively. And that allowed me to see really what not to do on personal injury cases and what not to do to clients, and quickly left the first firm that I was at. And it was teaching me all things to do differently to make sure that our clients are represented fairly in California. And then the next job that I found was at a very large personal injury law firm with all the resources that any client could ever ask for. And what was very unique about my position at that firm is that I didn't work on cases. I actually worked in the intake department. So what I got to see is different variations of what a personal injury case can look like from the very beginning. Understanding what information is important, how to evaluate cases, how to see and speak to individual clients, understand their story, and understand how to apply that to maximize their results. It gave me the unique ability to track thousands and thousands of cases from the very beginning all the way to closing, and understanding what common denominators and systematic approaches can be applied in the different areas of a personal injury practice just from the initial intake notes. So that when I set up my firm, when I decided that I could do things better, like anyone, does who's ambitious, I really set my firm up against those parameters, understanding that, intake is one of the most important parts of a law firm, just as important as an attorney settling and resolving a case, because you really need to understand how to identify those cases and see what cases can truly be worked on and helped, where a lot of other firms don't see that. We specialize and make sure that we have a legal approach on our intake department instead of just, answering services and people just asking for specific information and then having to go and, qualify that particular case with an attorney. Our intake team is designed to understand, to look at, different things such as liability, property damage, understanding the human being, the biomechanics of certain, body parts, and what things to look for in the initial stages, as to why a lot of clients get turned down by law firms where they're not going to get turned down by us. So understanding the business aspect of a law firm has really allowed me to set up MVP in a very specific way to maximize our clients' recovery by utilizing, business strategy decisions as well as legal applications.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that first initial communication between the client and the law firm is so important. And like we talked about, just the client being so vulnerable at that time. So them being able to get answers right from the beginning and not be rung around the ringer, as they
Yep.
say, is super, super important. So I love that. And then over your career, like we talked about, you've handled thousands of cases, but without violating confidentiality. Can you share one or two cases that really stood out to you, either because of the outcome, the challenges, or maybe what it meant to the client?
Absolutely. I think that one of the most emotional cases that I personally had involvement in was a death of a young girl that unfortunately passed away in a pool. And what's very unique about cases like that, Kara, is that as much as it might surprise you, the average person immediately starts to blame the parents instead of the reason why the pool was unsafe. For any parent that's out there, there are so many times where you look away for a split second and then you look back and your son or daughter's climbing a chair or doing something like, how did you get up there so quickly? Oh my gosh. And it's nearly impossible to have eyes on your child 24/7. And especially, when you're involved in a situation where there's, 15 different adults, and 20 different children in an environment. And obviously everyone's watching each other trying to, and, it takes 1 second, one unlocked door, one lack of proper, care on a pool to have a child fall in. And it just takes minutes, if not less, for a child to unfortunately pass away from that. And so getting over the hurdles of the dynamics of the parents blaming each other and the defendants blaming the parents and trying to focus group these type of cases and having the average potential juror want to blame the parents upwards of 50% or more. Like if you weren't watching your child correctly, or if you were watching your child correctly, then this wouldn't have happened. And that's just a completely unacceptable response to such a situation. I mean, these parents have to live with this scenario for the rest of their lives. They lost a child, and having to navigate the nuances of that and the historical blueprints of city jurisdictions and ordinances and the series of who bought the house and when certain laws are grandfathered in or applied, and getting that case resolved to the satisfaction of the clients was a very important case to us, and allowing them to move on and grieve, because the last thing any parent or person wants to do in a tragedy such as a loss of a child is have to live it over and over and over again for years. So understanding how to navigate that as fast as possible while not jeopardizing our clients' legal interest is a tough scenario to navigate. So, I mean, that was probably one of my most emotional cases to work on. It was a very satisfying, result for us. And, we're dealing, because of that case, we have multiple more of those type of cases in our office, and we can navigate them easier because of that experience. That really is one of our most notable, achievements at our case. Another one is dealing with a client with a previous brain injury. that was hit head on by a commercial vehicle, which I can't give much more information other than that. But because of the previous brain injury, the injury was very, very severe, and having to understand and navigate what part of her brain injury was pre-existing versus new, and having the responsible party have to compensate for what was new and ongoing versus what was present prior to. And when you're dealing with the brain, it's a very difficult area of the body to truly differentiate pre-existing versus new injury, and the pain and suffering that comes from the new impact and the compounding effect of a new brain injury on an old brain injury is a very difficult part of a personal injury case to understand. And so those might be my two most notable cases that I remember. And quite frankly, what's interesting in both of those cases is utilizing our firm's history and understanding of defense law to really maximize our clients' results. We haven't really discussed this, and I probably should have, but our managing partner is my wife, who spent years working for a defense firm, a very high-powered defense firm in California. Became one of the youngest managing attorneys in that firm. Dealt straight on with some of the biggest corporations in the country, and was very successful at that. So understanding how defense works and how they review cases, how they evaluate their exposure on cases, and and how to really push to maximize our clients' recovery really helped out in those two cases.
Absolutely. And then what kind of recognition has your work earned over the past few years? Are there any specific awards or honors or professional recognitions that you're particularly proud of?
Yes, and they're obviously all displayed on our website, but some of the most notable ones are the top people, the top lawyers, including myself at my law firm, have all been recognized by super lawyers, rising stars, and it's a very small niche. I think 2.5% of all lawyers get recognized for this award. We have other ones like best lawyers, distinguished lawyers, but I think one of my biggest achievements professionally is industry notability. So being asked to speak at very large conferences, being spokespersons for different industry providers and vendors in the space. I have lawyers that approach me every day to ask for my advice on business strategies, and I know our firm has grown very quickly in California. So from an industry known perspective, we're very credible, both on defense and plaintiff side, and being asked to speak at different trial lawyer events across the state is by far one of my most notable achievements, because it gives me direct recognition from my peers, which, other than my clients' recognition, is all you could ask for in our industry. When all of your competitors are recognizing your achievements and understanding how good you are at what you do, is a very powerful feeling.
Absolutely. And just giving back as well is super
Right.
powerful. And that mentorship that you give to others who see you as an inspiration and
Yep.
want to follow in your footsteps. So super important. And then let's talk about MVP as it exists today. Kind of paint me the picture. What does the law firm look like now? What services do you offer? And who typically comes to you for that help?
Good question. Our firm is positioned to take on a high volume of clients, which is unique. A lot of lawyers like to specialize in a very, small amount of cases a year. We have focused very heavily on making sure that a larger quantity of clients get taken care of at the same rate as a smaller boutique law firm. It's set up to represent clients all over the state of California currently. We have lawyers that are licensed in other jurisdictions, such as Florida, Texas, soon to be Indiana, and Washington, D.C. and other places across the country, so we can take cases in other states as well. And we're uniquely positioning the firm to not just, as today, represent people that were involved in accident cases all across the spectrum. So some of that could be, employment, workers' comp, and other things. We, have a network of attorneys that we refer those cases out to. But hopefully in the future, we will be expanding MVP into other areas of consumer law, such as employment. And unfortunately, in today's world, there are a lot of victims that are that need representation and protection from the evil employer, I should say. So the future looks bright. The future looks large. It looks national, and it's expanding our areas of practice and expertise.
Absolutely. And then every attorney and every firm has a mission and a reason behind what they do. What's your mission for MVP?
That is a great question, and one that I know very well, because it's what drives me and this firm every single day. And I think what's important for any business or law firm is to have a leader who has a true vision. That vision is to change the landscape of personal injury law, is to change the idea and the negative stigma behind higher volume practices, people who advertise on billboards and TVs. They're known to have a lower reputation in our industry, and really help the average consumer understand that just because the law firm is seen in a lot of places or spends a significant amount of resources on acquiring people in need, it does not mean that we are not here representing our clients better than anybody else in the state or in the nation. And my goal is to bring trust back to legal representation for personal injury and car accident victims across the nation and across the state, because you have to trust who you hire. Your entire case falls in our laps, and if you don't have that trust and we're not living up to that trust each and every day, then we have failed ourselves and we have failed our clients.
Absolutely. And we know that the law is consistently evolving, new regulations, new insurance company tactics. But how do you stay current with what your approach is to make sure you're always learning and staying ahead of the developments in personal injury law?
Um, Absolutely. I mean, there's obviously every lawyer has to have a certain amount of continuing legal education, going to conferences, being a part of the conferences, leading conferences, working with the lawyers and our industry leaders, collectively being part of networks and communities such as CALA or CAOC, and understanding the lobbying efforts and always protecting the consumer rights is what helps us stay ahead of the game, and being able to consistently adapt to the different and ever evolving changing in laws and how laws are applied. So the same law might not change for decades, but the court systems will potentially interpret those laws differently, changing up our tactics, every year, every quarter, having meetings and being proactive and staying on top of new and current trends within the industry allows us to pivot at any given time to making sure that our approach is always state of the art and ahead of our competitors.
Absolutely. And that goes into my next thing. Technology is changing every
Oh, yeah.
profession, including law. So, how does technology kind of factor into the practice of MVP, and how does it change how to serve clients or handle specific cases?
Great question. Technology is ever evolving and changing every industry, as you said. One of the things that have historically set law firms or lawyers behind is the sheer amount of time it takes to do things on a case. When you're dealing with a case that has, thousands of pages of medical records, or has, 20 different doctors involved in having to obtain those medical records and billing, and a lot of what ends up going into the mundane repetition of helping a client out and strategizing on a case can now be automated, which allows a firm like mine with the resources to invest in that technology, apply that technology, give our team enough time to understand and learn that technology. Really helps maximize our clients. It allows us to help more people out with less. because it really gives us the opportunity to uh, do more on a case faster. We have a lot of different tools that can go through thousands of medical records, identify different issues within a case. We can utilize closed AI tools to understand strategy and understand different ways to approach draft legal documents faster. It could take an attorney 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to write a legal document potentially, and utilizing different AI tools to draft those things is very important, and making sure that we have enough resources to not completely rely on that technology. We have to obviously, put our human effect onto it as well to make sure that it's accurate. But that has significantly allowed us to add value in our clients' cases and help more clients out faster. With today's world, people expect results instantly, and law has just historically been behind on that. And people have to wait in doctors' offices for hours. Well, now with new technology, they hopefully won't have to wait years for cases to resolve, because we now have the tools in order to really understand their cases in different ways faster to maximize the results.
Yeah, absolutely. Time is on your side when it comes to a
Correct.
lot of those technology changes. And then let's talk about values. So, what principles guide your work as an attorney when you're faced with a tough decision or challenging cases? What's kind of your North Star to say?
Honestly, it goes back to family and team. We are MVP for a reason. I played sports growing up, Kara, and I very much believe in a team approach to everything. So dealing with team, getting the team's perspective on any given situation, and making a true decision that goes right back to the client's interest. Every decision that we make is designed for the client's best interest. Even when a case doesn't go the way that a client wanted to, or that we initially wanted it to, if we have to sacrifice us to protect our clients, we're going to try to do that. The clients come first. And we have to make sure that every single decision that we make includes our clients and our clients' interests to their satisfaction as much as possible. And that really is what makes making decisions at our firm easy. When it comes to staff, or it comes to what technology companies to use, and different ways to set up the law firm strategically to get the best for our clients, all of that derives from what works and what doesn't work, and trial and error, and basically making sure that we set aside a portion of the company's budget to improving the company is very, very important to making those decisions. And again, Kara, it comes down to one thing and one thing only: clients. If you're not making decisions in the best interest of your clients, then you shouldn't be practicing personal injury.
Absolutely. And I know we talked about role models and who inspired you to take this kind of career path, but is there any specific attorneys or judges or any other professionals who have been that role model to you during this time?
That's a great question. My biggest role model isn't even in the industry. It's my father. That's where the family-oriented approach to our law firm comes. We have a lot of my family members working in this law firm because we want to treat every client like family. And that's not just a cliche saying, Kara. That is how we approach everything. And so my father is really what gave me the work ethic that I have today, to make sure that I'm doing nothing but making sure that our clients are taken care of. He has instilled a work ethic in me, making sure that we do everything we possibly can in my power every single day to achieving our goals, and not giving up on those goals, no matter how delusional they might sound. Whether it's relevant or not, I always like to tell this story. My father was a businessman growing up. He specifically told me to not get into business. He said to get into a trade or a profession that can help the average day person. So I owe a lot to him in getting into the area of law in the first place. But during our path and during his growth, he ran into a very systematic problem that almost put his business or almost bankrupted his business, to where he went his salary, his distributions, and basically had to go out and get, second and third jobs to make sure that his employees still got paid. And going in the middle of the night to help deliver luggage to people who lost their luggage, traveling at 2 and 3 in the morning with my dad. At the time, didn't really realize what it was, but as I grew up, understanding that that's what it takes to do what's right for people, whether it's your employees or your clients, or your customers, your family, the drive and the mission to do what you have to do, not what you want to do every day, is what really instilled in me and what I believe made our firm successful. Because every single day I wake up and I'm provided with different decisions to make, and a lot of times it's things I don't want to do, but I have to do, because it's not about me. It's not about my family all the time. It's sometimes about the company and the clients that we help. And I believe that my family will benefit in the long run from making those decisions. But at the end of the day, I have to stand up and I have to work and fight for my clients every day. And that comes from what my father instilled in me.
Absolutely. He sounds like an amazing man. Is there a quote or a motto that resonates with you, or something that sums up the approach to life, to law?
Um, yes, actually, there is. And the area of personal injury, in my opinion, is summed up like this: our business is one of consistent crisis, interrupted by brief periods of immense and intense success. Living for those periods of intense success allows us to appreciate the moments of crisis. And if you are not comfortable living in being uncomfortable, then this isn't the profession for you to work in, because you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable or you just won't succeed.
It's one of my favorite mottos in life. I love
Yep.
that. All right, Brett. So, for someone who is listening who thinks they might need a personal injury attorney, what's the best way that they can reach you, and how do they get in touch with MVP accident attorneys?
Great question, Kara. And MVP is working daily in helping and improving how easy it is to access MVP. MVP Accident Attorneys wants to be accessible to each and every client, potential client across the state of California and potentially the nation. And the easiest way to do that is go to our website at www.themvp.com. It has all of our numbers on it. You can Google us. You can use Chat GPT even to contact us and to get our information or to learn about us. But our website is by far the easiest and best way to access information, ask questions, get real-time answers, understand who we are, see who is working on your case, and really put a name to the face. Because that's very, very important when working on personal injury cases.
Let's say someone calls or fills out a form on your website. So, what happens next? Kind of walk us through the consultation process and what should they expect?
Well, Kara, when somebody contacts MVP Accident Attorneys, they should expect somebody to reach out to them very quickly. So if they call our intake line at 833 MVP wins, they will get live transferred to a human being. It's important that we have humans speaking, to our clients, and it will be transferred to our direct intake team. Somebody from my intake team will be speaking to them, understanding who they are, understanding their story, evaluating, their cases. We can get if it's after hours, we can even potentially get an attorney on the line if necessary. It's important that our clients have somebody to be reached instantly at any given time throughout the day. So whether it's 8 in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night, you can contact our intake lines and you will reach somebody to speak to. If you fill out a consultation form on our website at www.themvp, then you will have somebody from our law firm reach out to you very quickly. Usually it's even if it's in the middle of the night, you should have somebody contact you within a very reasonable amount of time. If it's not instantly, it'll be by far very early in the morning. If it is late at night, then your best bet is to call somebody so that somebody gets it right away and speaks to you. But essentially, once you fill out a contact form or you contact the firm, our intake specialist and intake team is designed to understand who you are, evaluate the case, if you have questions, concerns, we have anyone here from intake to lawyers to understanding your question, helping you be educated on the process, walk you through what you can expect from a law firm like us, and what you should expect from any law firm. And a lot of times we ask them to call other law firms to understand how it sets us apart. We are more compassionate and more empathetic. We want to understand who you are as a client. And then once we qualify your case, and feel that you're a good fit for our law firm, then you immediately get assigned to a team, and our team starts working on your case immediately. And again, it goes back to having anywhere at the minimum of 3, but all the way up to 5 or more people working on your case at any given time, and having that accessibility and reachability to our firm, 24/7.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in today's world, a lot of people prefer virtual options when possible. Does MVP offer virtual consultations, and can clients work with you remotely if they're not near your office?
That is a great question. Yes, in today's world, even though I love to meet my clients, I love to see them face to face. That is not a realistic opportunity in these days. A lot of people do need convenience, and we do have offices throughout the state. We have offices in Riverside, we have offices in Irvine, LA, and Sacramento, but we do take cases from all over the state. A lot of our clients never set foot into our office. We have gorgeous office spaces across the state, but we do virtual consultations. We work on your case remotely. You can email us, call us, text us. We're accessible very easily, and our job is to not interrupt your life any more than this case already is. So yes, the vast majority of our clients will never step foot into any of our offices, and everything's done remotely.
That's amazing. And then beyond just the website, can people find content from you on other social media platforms? Do you have articles, or do you post daily or create videos? And then where can people go to learn more?
Absolutely. Yes, we have, again, in today's world, we need to be accessible in every avenue of where people obtain information. So we are posting articles constantly. We have blogs, we have video vlogs. We are on Instagram. We're on, LinkedIn. We're on TikTok, Facebook. We even want to cater to different AI tools. A lot of people are going to ChatGPT. They're going to Gemini. They're asking questions. It's important that we offer information accessible to those platforms. So we are constantly updating. We're constantly writing. We're constantly producing different everyday questions, to blogs, to articles, to updates in the industry legal landscape, and our website's obviously the primary catalyst for that, but we offer information in all platforms across social media and the internet.
That's amazing. And then before we wrap up, is there anything else people should know about MVP accident attorneys, or about working with a personal injury attorney in general? Or do you have any final thoughts or advice on that?
Yes, my final thoughts on it really ties in together of who we are and what to look for in a personal injury law firm or a lawyer, is true education and empathy, understanding and asking the questions with the intake team, or the lawyer that you are consulting with, to appreciate how it is you're going to work with them throughout the process of your personal injury case. So what's important to us for our clients is that our clients primarily have never gone through something like this before. And it's not a very easy process to go through. It's confusing. There's different areas of law. If you don't fill out the right forms, you can get your license suspended. Understanding and navigating the DMV, and again, the different areas of law of what you can get compensated for how, what evidence you need, what things to say, what not things to say. I mean, those are all very important things to understand, and really the different step-by-step processes of what a person goes through in a personal injury case. If our clients are not communicated with and updated and educated on what that looks like, I personally don't care how good the law firm does on your case. You, as the consumer and the person that's hiring the law firm, needs to understand what it is we're doing every day on your case. It's very important for me that our clients understand that my law firm is designed to communicate with our clients all the time. when I am reviewing and managing different client cases, the first thing I look for is when was the last time the client was communicated with or contacted, because that is my first level of success on a case. And I know we talked about success previously. Client communication is a big one for me. You have to understand what it is we're doing for you and how we're helping you out so that you can live your day-to-day life and trust that what we're doing is for the benefit of you, the consumer, and the person involved in a car accident case. So many law firms are going to put their bottom line before their clients. And it is important that you understand what a law firm that puts their clients first looks like. It looks like MVP accident attorneys, a law firm that is not just Brett Sachs. It's not just Chelsea Sachs. It is a team of lawyers, legal professionals, support staff, and resources to maximize what you can achieve in a personal injury case. We want you to get what's right. And if you don't have what we have, a lot of law firms cannot achieve that result, no matter the intent or how good the lawyer is. You have to have both. You have to have good business acclimates, and you have to be able to make sure that what you have is legal expertise wrapped into a good business to get your clients what they deserve as fast as possible.
Brett, this has been incredible insight. We talked about your journey from the Midwest to the sunny state of California, your philosophy and how MVP operates, and what people should expect if they reach out to you. So before we go, what's one thing you want listeners to remember from this conversation?
Great question, Kara, and thank you so much for your time today. It is important that we obviously get the right information out to our clients and potential clients. But the one thing I want to leave our clients and potential clients with today is when you're looking for a law firm, look for one that wins. And with MVP, we win.
If you or someone you know has been injured in an accident in California and needs expert legal representation, Brett Sachs and the team at MVP Accident Attorneys are here to help. You can reach them at themvp.com. That's themvp.com, or call them directly at 833 MVP wins. That's 833 MVP WINS. Consultations are free. And Brett, as mentioned, there's no obligation. If you have a case, they'll fight for you. And if they can't help, they'll point you in the right direction. Brett, thanks so much for being here and sharing your story with us today.
Thank you so much, Kara. I appreciate it.
Of course. And thank you for tuning in to this first episode. We'll be back soon with more conversations about the legal issues that matter to you. Until then, stay safe out there.